is going on, y'all? Site Perspectives, Geo Fucks here. And there's so much going on. Like, I just got a lot of videos that I'm going to do commentary on and provide information on. So just, if you can, bear with me. These clouds look pretty today. Very 3D-ish. But anyways, so Biden's administration, President Biden has stated that he can't do anything to combat the price of gas, the price of oil, and food prices, etc. He personally can't do anything as the president. That's what Biden is saying. Information is in the description box below. And what's really out cold about the whole situation is that, again, it costs about $105 for a barrel of gas, a barrel of oil. And if it's $105 for an entire barrel of oil, gas, why are we paying $100? Some of us are paying $100 plus to fill up their tanks. Meanwhile, a barrel is $105. So you gotta ask yourself, how is it that a barrel is so low in price, $105, but yet we're paying, $4.75 plus a gallon? There's places that are paying well over $5, well over $6, well over $7, and hell, at $8 and up a gallon at this point. And mind you, because oil and gas, diesel, unleaded, mid-grade, premium, because it's so expensive at the gas station, right? Anything that is shipped using gas and oil has also increased in price. So you got to think, if your food, right, your groceries, your food, your water, etc., has to be shipped using transportation that uses gas, oil, then yeah, they're going to increase the cost on the food, on the goods that you're getting, because they have to pay more in gas to get it to you. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that. And then you think about these truck drivers, these CDL drivers with truck drivers, they're typically buying gas, and when they buy gas, they're using diesel. Diesel is always more expensive than unleaded. You feel me? Whether that's 87, like I said, unleaded, regular, or premium, mid-grade, it's always expensive because it's diesel. And literally, diesel, let me see, diesel, where I was at the other day, was $5.19 a gallon. I paid $4.79 a gallon to fill up my tank, and I didn't even fill it all the way up. I went right to a half a tank, a little over a half a tank. I put $35, got me to a little over half a tank, and I was on E. So it's gonna cost me basically $70 to fill my tank up, and that's basically $70. I would say $70 to $100 a week, because one tank of gas may not make it 7 days, obviously. I mean, number one, you're driving to work, to and back, 5 days a week. I'm supposed to have one work from home day. But because I also do civic engagement, outreach work, a lot of times my so-called work from home day is not a work from home day. Like yesterday was Wednesday, and I started my day off at 8 o'clock in the morning doing outreach at a local school. followed by another outreach event for a realtors organization. And I had to physically leave my house. So again, a lot of my so-called work from home on Wednesdays are not work from home. I literally still have to be out and about driving my car. And then keep in mind, that's work. That's work. Most of us have other responsibilities outside of our jobs that require us to drive and go places and commute and use transportation. So that's why I say it's $70 to $100 a week for me to have my car full, have gas. On the low end, that is $280 a month. On the high end, that is $400 a month for me to fill my car up. That's a whole nother bill now. You know, that's a whole nother bill that I have to be thinking about. I mean, we went from, you could fill your car up for $50, and that was also ridiculous. But shit, I would take $50 over $70. Now, obviously. But it's just something to think about. Like, that's a whole nother bill. And once again, when you look at a lot of these jobs, they are not, there's no discussions on cost of living increases, inflation increases, you know, and then for many of us, even before COVID, even before the high inflation, before gas prices and food prices and rent prices soared, even before all of that, a lot of us were already severely underpaid. I mean, it makes no sense that, and I'm just going to say it, you know, I believe that everybody, regardless of education, regardless of work experience, deserves a living wage if they are working, point blank, period. Clear, and now, and in the same breath, I also believe those of us that went the extra mile, okay, so everyone deserves a living wage off rip, but at the same time, those of us that went the extra mile, you know, you have degrees, you have education, you have certifications, you have years of experience, you have a combination, you should be paid more. You did go the extra mile. It is what it is. However, nobody, in my opinion, should be living in poverty and being paid poverty wages. Now, here it is. Like I said, I'm very transparent with mine. 4 college degrees, 8+ years of experience. And after taxes and deductions, I make $14.92 an hour. $14.92 an hour after taxes and deductions. And I got to be paying $70 to $100 a week for gas? That's ridiculous. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I basically have to work 5 hours to pay for a tank of gas. But yet I'm supposed to be driving here when I can literally do my job from behind a computer. And that's $70 providing the low end. Because a lot of times a tank of gas is not lasting 7 days. Hell, sometimes it's not lasting 5 days. So, you know, that's providing that you're only filling up once. And I drive a 2009 Chevy Malibu. And it has a 6-cylinder. And again, that's me. Now just think about people that's driving, you know, mid-grade, premium, and diesel vehicles. Y'all screwed. Because we screwed at $4.79. Y'all paying 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents more than what we're paying at the regular unleaded 87. So it's just, I can't even, like, and then what I don't understand, again, you know, this country is so, like, bizarre. Like, why are American auto manufacturers still creating clunkers? Why are you still making cars that are gas guzzlers. I mean, literally, you're lucky to get 15 to 20 miles a gallon in a lot of these SUVs and a lot of these so-called pickup trucks. It's not even worth, like, what are you doing? You're never going to have money driving those because you're always going to be at the gas station. And if you have a job, it shouldn't be no more than 10 to 15 minutes away from your house. Because it's not going to be worth it at that point. Like, you're literally paying to work. Like I said, at the low end, it's $280 a month for me to fill my tank up in my car. You know, at the high end, it's $400 a month. So that's a whole nother bill that I have to be trying to budget and save for, which thus causes me to restrict money that could be going to other pockets, right? So for example, if I got to pay $400 a month on the high end for gas to fill my tank up to get to and from work, and of course my other outside responsibilities, if I got to pay $400 at the high end, I'm only getting $2,000, you know, what is it? I think I get about $2,300, a little over $2,300 a month. Okay. That is my net income for the month. A little over $2,300, $2,300, a little over. I done already lost $400 of that. On the high end. On the high end to fill my tank. It's ridiculous. And that's what I mean by there needs to be conversations on employers. Employers need to be having conversations. Jobs, corporations, organizations, federal government, local government, state government. There needs to be conversations on increasing the federal minimum wage. There needs to be conversations on giving everybody pay increase that reflect the cost of living and take in consideration inflation. Because we are literally drowning in debt and living check to check, and we're literally forced to live check to check because we are never being paid enough to actually live and thrive in the first place. And then all of this, oh, well, you need to budget and blah, blah, blah. First of all, yes, people do need to have financial literacy skills, education. You do need to track where your money is going, track your expenses, budget and save. This is all very true. Very true. And at the same time, in order for us to adequately budget and save, we also need to be making a substantial amount of money, because you're not going to be able to budget and save your way out of poverty. You're not going to be able to budget and save your way out of inflation. Okay, you're not going to be able to budget and save when you got to be giving up $400 a month to go to work. Okay, you're not going to be able to budget and save when your wages and salaries remain low and stagnant. They're not on the same level as the cost of living and inflation. It's ridiculous. So all of this, oh, y'all should budget, y'all should save, you should do this, you should do that. All of that sounds great. And yes, we should be doing it, but we also need to make more money. There's no other way to put it. And it's really getting to the point where a lot of us are going to have to really have that tough sit down thought process and or conversation. A lot of us are really going to have to start kind of having that talk of, is it even worth me staying at this job? Because I'm not making enough money to adequately live. We are literally working 40 or more hours a week to live in poverty. I'm going to say that again. A lot of us are working 40 or more hours a week to live in poverty. I mean, literally, you have a full-time job and you're living check to check because they refuse to pay you a living wage. And like I said, the problem, and I'm going to keep saying it, and in my humble opinion, if you make up to $50,000 or less, we shouldn't have to pay taxes, because we do not make enough to be talking about losing 20 to 25% of our income. We don't make enough to be doing that. Gas is $400 on the high end for me. At the low end, it's still $280 a month. It's still damn near $300 a month. So you think about it. That's not sustainable. You can't be sitting up here. That's a bill. Then you still got to pay your gas at home, your utilities at home, electricity, gas, water, heating, cooling. You still got to get food, groceries. You still got rent. You still have mortgage, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, car insurance, life insurance. You know, and property taxes, if you own your home outright, that's twice a year. Your phone bill, your internet, Wi-Fi, car maintenance, oil changes, you feel me? Oh, you got children? They need food, they need clothes, they need resources and support, toys, things of that nature. Oh, you got pets? They need food, they got to go to the vet. They need toys, support, resources. Oh, you got dependents. You got older family members that you're taking care of and looking after. You got older parents or parents that have, you know, need assistance or have disabilities or what have you. Family members, what have you. So again, something is going to have to shake here because we can't continue to do this, you know, and then we're sitting up here with, and I'm just going to say it. I do believe in voting. Voting is important to me. However, voting is one of the many tools in the toolbox. It is not the only tool. It is not the only method towards liberation. I just want to make sure we understand that, right? And then also, when it does come to voting, if you're not consistent, it really doesn't matter because a lot of us complain. Yet you only vote in presidential elections. You don't even vote in the midterms. You don't vote in your local elections. You don't vote in your state elections. I know so many people who only vote in the presidential election and then wonder why we're in the mess that we're in. Voting, just like if you want to get healthy and you want to build muscle or you want to gain weight, you know, because you want to get bulky or whatever, if you're not doing that on a consistent basis, you're going to realize you're not going to have progress. And that's the same thing with voting. You need to be voting local, state, and federal in every election to really get things done. And you need to be holding those that you are voting for accountable. Okay? Because I'm about to go there. There's a lot of Democrats right now where, are you really a Democrat? Or are you just a moderate Republican running as a Democrat? Because a lot of the stuff that's going on with the cinemas and the mansions, I'm just going to throw it out there, the Bidens, etc., they are showing their true colors. And then to the Republicans, you've been showing your true colors. I mean, you've made it clear that you don't like anybody that's poor, that's low income, that's impoverished, that's working class. You've made it clear that you don't like women. You don't like girls. You've made it clear that you don't really care about black folks, brown folks, people of color, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, what have you, Native American, Asian Pacific, Islander, indigenous. You've made it clear. You've made it clear that you don't like the LGBTQ plus community. You feel me? So we know where, a lot of us know where we stand when it comes to the right-wing, conservative, Republican, alt-right, whatever. And unfortunately, a lot of us are finding out that the so-called Democrats, the so-called left-wing, alt-left, whatever you want to call it, they don't care about you either. They get on here and give a lot of lip service, but yet, where are the laws, legislations, resources, and support? Now, I'm not saying that the Biden administration hasn't done anything. You know, we did have the child tax credit. But the effed up part about the whole situation is when it comes to Biden, in my opinion, his own party is not working with him. I mean, literally, you have people in the Democratic Party that are obstructing legislation from passing. And again, that's the Joe Manchins, the Christina Cinemas, etc. And of course, we already know the Republicans are not working with the Democrats the vast majority of the time. There's no real bipartisanship the vast majority of the time. And we, in the USA, are living in a two-party stranglehold. I know a lot of folks are like, oh, but there's third parties. Yes, there are third parties. You do have the Green Party. You do have the Libertarian Party, the American Tax Party, the Working Family Party. You have a lot of different political parties. However, they don't have any power. If you haven't noticed, that's the problem. That's why I call it a two-party stranglehold. Because at the end of the day, most of us pretty much know, yeah, we can vote for third party, but they're not going to win the election. They don't even get proper funding, let alone media attention and support, let alone actual power. So a lot of us are literally forced to pick between two political parties, and it's really detrimental to our society, in my opinion, because it seems like you're constantly being forced to pick the lesser of two evils, and then it's always a game of back and forth. Meanwhile, this is our real lives. People are starving. People are homeless. People are losing their homes. There's already a lot of foreclosures that have been taking place. And depending on your individual state and how your individual state's government allocated the funds that they received from the federal government. Because you've got, $73 million is going back to the federal government from local state governments because they didn't use it. Yeah. So you need to be looking at your governor, your lieutenant governor, your secretary of state, your treasurer, you need to be looking at all of that, because, your state senate, your state house representatives, you need to be looking at all of that, because they're the ones that ultimately are going to determine how those dollars from the federal government are allocated back to the state and local municipalities. But I just want to throw that out there, because a lot of us, we feeling it. And we've been feeling it. A lot of people been feeling it. So it's just insane to me what we're going through. And then I feel like the elected officials are not being forthcoming about how bad the inflation is, because they keep talking about, well, it's going to ease up in 2023. Okay, 2023 is still basically 6 months away. And 6 months is a very long time to be sitting up struggling with high costs for goods and services and high inflation. And they're not being honest. And that's across the board with both of the so-called two-party political systems who have the stranglehold over the politics in this country, in the USA. And it's just ridiculous. And again, high inflation, high cost of living, yet there's no discussion about stimulus checks. This will be the perfect time to be sending stimulus checks. And then also the federal government, they could literally initiate incentives for employers to have more remote work from home options, which would then reduce the need for us that can work from home having to waste money on gas. And that's just one aspect. It's also going to reduce pollution. Okay? It's a lot of things that it can reduce. So, like I said, a lot of us is feeling it. We feeling it. We going through it. We've been going through it. This is, unfortunately, what I'm saying is nothing new. What I'm saying, nothing new, is nothing new. Sorry about that. A lot of us are just really going through it and been going through it. And it's just like, when does it stop? When is there going to be help, support? When are our elected officials actually going to represent our best interests? And then, you know, what's hilarious is listening to how everybody, you know, want to talk about being patriotic and America first and all of this. Yeah, these are American gas and oil companies price gouging American citizens. So I just want to throw that out there, right? Because everybody's always on this, oh, America first, make America great again. We got to take care of our own. Yet these are American oil and gas companies price gouging American citizens. These are also American jobs, American employers, American corporations, American companies that systemically underpay their employees who are American citizens. Yet, it's always about what you as the individual can do for the country, but it's never about what the country can do for you, the individual. Pay attention to that. You're always expected to give more, sacrifice more, go without, suffer, do more for the country. But the country can never do jack shit for you. And I'm about to leave off when saying this, because now I'm reflecting on myself. I'm looking at myself and my own personal situation. It's always about what I can do for the country and what we should be doing and blah, blah. Meanwhile, as a black person, I got to be sitting up worrying about racism, left and right. As a person, a part of the LGBTQ plus community in many ways, I have to worry about my rights being diminished. I got to deal with transphobia non-stop. You know, are you going to have health care? Are you going to be able to get gender affirming care? Are you going to have a job? Can you earn money? Are you going to have a place to stay? All because I'm trans. Because I went to college, I got to be sitting up struggling in debt for getting an education that this society told me that I had to get if I wanted to have a good life. Like, and then you get the education to work at places that are paying you $14.92 an hour with an education and years of experience. You didn't need to go to school for that. So that's just me speaking about my own personal situations and why I'm just like, why is it always about what we can do for the government, but never what the government can do for us? And mind you, the government has more money and power than we do. So why are we doing shit for them? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that. And how is that a democracy? And then how is that a representative democracy? Because it's not really representing me as a trans person, as a black person, as a working class, working poor person, you know, as a person with student loan debt. It's not representing me at all. And I don't understand, you know, if it's not representing me, why am I paying taxes to be discriminated against and ostracized? Why am I paying taxes to be treated like shit? And that's what I mean by, we don't have actual democracy. We don't actually have representative democracy. And we're literally being taxed and taxed and taxed, and we have no real representation. So it's literally taxation without proper representation. That's exactly what's happening to a lot of us in this country. Because again, in my opinion, if you're LGBTQ+, you shouldn't be paying taxes. For what? You don't have rights. If you're a person of color, why are you paying taxes? For what? You don't have rights. If you're a woman, if you're a person with a vagina, if you're a person with ovaries, you shouldn't be paying taxes. For what? You don't have rights. Again, pay attention to the legislation that's being passed state to state. What the Supreme Court is doing, what the federal government is doing, what your local government is doing, what your state government is doing. And ask yourself, why are you paying taxes? And then my thing is, you paying taxes for schools, to not have adequate funding. You're paying taxes for schools to be dilapidated and falling apart. Children going to school, there ain't no air conditioning, ain't no heating, holes in the wall, rats running all over the place. They sitting up here with books from 1995 and 2022. Yeah, I'm going there. You paying taxes to drive on potholes and craters, bridges falling apart, collapsing. You paying taxes for police that won't even go and protect children from a mass school shooter. You paying taxes, but you don't have health care. And then depending on your social identity, they can deny you health care, but you paying taxes. Yeah. Make it make sense, y'all. That's all I'm saying. Make it make sense. Because right now, it doesn't make sense. And I'm not seeing the purpose of paying taxes and being loyal to a country that doesn't give a single flying F about me and my well-being. I'm just keeping it real. Anyways, I had to vent at the end because it's like, I know I'm not the only one that's also having these conversations and having these thoughts. A lot of us are feeling this and have been feeling this. This is ridiculous and we deserve better. And at the end of the day, until we come together collectively to demand better, we're not going to get it. And as long as they can sit up here and have everybody divided and conquered, fighting amongst each other, meanwhile, the real enemies of freedom, the real perpetrators, are literally controlling the show. They are literally the puppet masters, manufacturing cultural wars so we can sit up and fight amongst each other instead of realizing how we're all being screwed over here. We're all being oppressed. We're all, becoming homeless, going without food, no health care. We're everybody's suffering. But like I said, the powers that be, as long as they can keep you mad at the trans person and the gay person and the black person and the women and, the poor person, the person of color, whatever, as long as they can keep you angry at different social identities, they keep the heat off of them. And again, a lot of us we have bought into the propaganda. We have been fed the propaganda and we're literally brainwashed. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of us are brainwashed. A lot of us, and it makes sense though. It makes perfect sense because think about it. Ever since you were born to the age that you are today, you have literally been force-fed propaganda by this country. So it's not surprising that a lot of us believe what we believe and fall for what we fall for. Because like I said, I believe that going to college was the way to go. I fell for it. I bought into it. And I'm here to tell you it's the biggest crock of shit. Because there's so many caveats to a lot of the things that they tell you. It's so many caveats. And a lot of people don't realize the caveats until it's too damn late, right? By the time you realize that college probably wasn't a good idea, you've already tens of thousands, if not 50s of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands in debt. Yes, I know people who have 6 figures of student loans. I know people who are like that. So anyways, I had to talk about it. And I really do hope that more of us have these conversations because what's going on right now? We're screwed. And a lot of people, are still kind of oblivious to what's going on. Anyways, information, articles, journals, data is in the description box below. And as always, I highly, strongly suggest, recommend, advise that you do your own independent investigation, critically think, and research, okay? The information is out there. Some of you want to do podcasts. Some of you want to, watch a documentary, read a news article or a journal. There's information out there, okay? And again, critically think. All right, I'm done.